This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Welcome to the award-winning Rich in Life podcast. We're the podcast that dives deep into the true meaning of wealth. We're going beyond money. We're going into mindset, purpose, and the choices that shape our success. In each episode, we're going to bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and the real conversation to help you build a life that's rich in every way. So get ready to elevate your thinking, embrace new possibilities, and unlock the wealth that truly matters. So sit back, tune in, and let's learn how to be rich in life. Let's start today's episode with a statistic that might actually surprise you. According to a Deloitte study on women and burnout, more than half of high-performing women report feeling burned out, and nearly 40% say that they are actively considering leaving roles that they once worked super hard to earn. And that's not because they suddenly became incapable of performing their duties at these jobs. It's because somewhere along the way, ambition stopped feeling energizing and started feeling heavy. And I think that's actually happening quietly to a lot of us. Not like in a dramatic breakdown, or maybe it is for some of you, but more in a subtle tension. Like you're hitting your goals, you're building the thing, you're growing the income, you're managing your household and your children, and you're doing the work. You're going through all of the motions that you're supposed to be doing. But then one day you notice that you feel successful, but you're not really satisfied in all of those things that I just mentioned that you're doing. And that gap right there, that's usually not a capacity problem. It's an ambition problem. So let me explain what I mean by that. There's a quote from Jim Carrey that I think about often. He once said that he wished everyone could become rich and famous so they could realize that it's not the answer. Now, whether fame is your thing or not, the point still stands. Sometimes we're chasing a version of success so hard that we don't pause to ask whether it still fits us when we arrive there. I was talking to a client who is a business owner, mid-30s, 2 kids, multi-six-figure company, and on paper, everything was working right for her. She was doing everything to build this business. But she said something very honest to me in one of our last meetings, and we get really honest in our client meetings. She said, "I built a business that requires the version of me who had something to prove." And I want to repeat that one more time. I built a business that requires the version of me who had something to prove. And now she didn't want or have to prove anything. She wanted flexibility for her family. She wanted space to think, not having her 26 tabs open in her brain. And she wanted energy for her kids at 6 p.m. But her calendar still belonged to the proving version of herself. And that looked like back-to-back calls, constant visibility, new launches every quarter, growth targets that felt impressive, but they're actually relentless. And nothing was broken in what she's doing, right? Like doing all of these things, it's what got her to the multi-six-figure company, but everything was just feeling super heavy. She kept telling herself that she was just overwhelmed, that she just needed to let go of a few things. But when we looked closely, she really wasn't overwhelmed. She was over-ambitious in a direction and a way that she had outgrown, that the person that she had become and who she is today no longer wanted to do or be those things. And there's a difference. Overwhelm says there's too much. Outgrown ambition says this no longer fits. And when you realize that distinction, that's where everything that you're doing starts to change. Because if it was just overwhelm, you would fix your systems, you would change your calendar, you would change your time blocks. But if it's outdated ambition, you have to update your identity. And updating your identity, that's harder. We see this pattern everywhere. And I want you to think about Arianna Huffington. She built the Huffington Post into this giant media platform and sold it for hundreds of millions of dollars, and then collapsed from exhaustion after she sold it. And when I say she collapsed from exhaustion, she literally collapsed. She hit her head after passing out from burnout after she sold her company. She later said that success without well-being is not success. And it wasn't a productivity issue for her. It was ambition without boundaries. And I think many high-capacity women live in a quieter version of that. Maybe not the actual fainting, or at least I really hope you're not fainting and passing out and hitting your head, but the functioning part of it, the functionality of functioning while tired. Can we all relate to that? Functioning while stressed, functioning while slightly resentful, Growth feels good, no doubt about it. It gives us that hit of dopamine that we need. Hitting our goals and achieving those goals feels safe. It still gives us that hit of dopamine. And momentum feels powerful. We're checking the boxes, we're doing the things. But if you never stop to clean it up, ambition is just going to start collecting things. It's like your closet. You just keep adding to it without ever cleaning it out and donating the items that no longer fit you. And eventually, that closet becomes full. And yet you're still saying, I just need more hangers. Does that make sense? Cleaning up your ambition is not about shrinking it or getting rid of it. It's about editing it. And let me show you what that looks like in this practice. The business owner I mentioned earlier, even though she realized it was serving a different version of her and a less proven version of things, she didn't burn everything down that she built. We just did 3 specific things, and I want to share them with you. First, she eliminated one offer that brought in revenue, but it actually just drained her energy, and she actually dreaded this version of revenue that was bringing in. It was profitable, it was popular, but it no longer just aligned with how she wanted to work. And you might think that's crazy to lose out on that revenue, but stick with me here. Second, she stopped launching every quarter. Instead of chasing constant spikes, she built one steady pathway for clients to enter her world in an evergreen way. Very key there. Third, she redefined growth for the year, not her revenue growth, but her energy growth, her boundary growth, and her time growth. And within 6 months, her revenue was only slightly lower, but her stress was dramatically lower. And with that lower stress level, can you guess what happened? Her creativity returned. Her evenings felt lighter. She described it as feeling like I'm building something I actually want to be inside of. And how many of you can relate that maybe we're building things or we're in a job or we're in a situation where we're doing it, but we don't love it. Or maybe there are parts of it that we dread. And now she's actually building something and building her business and building her life that she actually wants to do. And she's excited and she doesn't dread it. And here's the question most ambitious women are not asking. If I were building this from scratch today, would I choose this exact version again? That question can be super clarifying. Maybe the answer is yes, and you would just do the things the same exact way because you are that same person. But if the answer is no, I just want to tell you that that is not failure. That is evolution. You're allowed to update your ambition as you evolve as a person. And this cannot ring more true to me. The version of success that you wanted or the life that you wanted at 28 might not match the woman that you are at 38, or that you become at 48, or that you become at 58. And holding yourself to old ambitions can quietly drain your present capacity. So here's something practical. This week, instead of asking, how can I do more? Ask, where is my ambition currently competing with my life? Do you all hear that? Where is my ambition currently competing with my life? Look at your calendar. Look at your revenue goals. Look at what you're chasing. Does it support the life that you say that you want? The life that is on your Pinterest board and your vision board? Or is it actually demanding more than you're willing to give up? Cleaning up your ambition might mean raising prices instead of increasing workload, saying no to expansion that doesn't excite you. We want to be excited. Choosing depth over visibility and choosing sustainability over speed. Those right there is the definition of refinement. And refined ambition, it just feels different. You're no longer proving, but you start building. You're no longer chasing, but you start designing. And your capacity expands, right? Because what you're doing actually fits. And when your ambition supports your life instead of competing with it, everything feels richer.